All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Ground Control. I'd like to welcome our guest today. It's Juliet Fletcher. Juliet is a CEO and she is an amazing writer and a trainer. One of the things that I think is most interesting I've learned about Juliet so far is that Juliet's been in the business for 35 years, right? And so she's had a tremendous amount of experience helping folks out and has won over $1 billion with her clients on proposals and RFPs and opportunities. And so she is a person to know and a person to listen to. So we're going to ask her some questions today, and we're going to talk a little bit, have some conversation about some of the things she's learned along the way. Juliet, welcome to Ground Control, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Well, I don't know. I can live up to everything that you just said. The math is true, and it's really been, I'm afraid to say, probably 40 years in proposals, including nonprofit. And I think one of the most valuable experiences I've had that has informed every single thing that I've done is sitting on the other side of the table as a
Okay. Yeah.
that that secret sauce right there, right up front. Anybody can go up my LinkedIn profile and see it and, read all that stuff like you did and look at my website. But the reality is that my first experience in proposals was not writing proposals, it was reviewing them for compliance as an intern.
As
And
an
then
intern.
later on, yeah, yes. And then later for award. This was in the state of Florida for the Division of Cultural Affairs, which is the state art agency of Florida. I was getting my master's in public administration at Florida State. Go Noles. And I had to have two, I don't know if we were on quarters or semesters then, it doesn't matter, two terms of internship. And the Division of Cultural Affairs grant cycle was coming up. So I interned with the community arts coordinator and reviewed proposals for compliance first, and then sat through all of the panel hearings all the way through award by the Florida Arts Council. So when I graduated and ran the little Monticello Opera House in Monticello, Florida, 30 miles east of Tallahassee, at the intersection of US 90 and 90, just to say, beautiful old building, gorgeous building, wonderful facility. I turned all that knowledge back in and was 100% on every single grant I wrote, and stayed that way for a very long time, and was invited to sit on the performing arts panel to review proposals for awards. So, and then I've done that all sorts of places. And the latest I did, it was for the Department of Commerce for,
Okay.
what were those? Economic development
Yeah.
proposals. And I'll tell you what, man, I learned that reinforced how important it is to design your document so that the reviewer can find the stuff they're looking for. If I have to go look for it, I just don't like you as much. It is an emotion. We are human. You have to fight it. But really and truly, that reviewer experience is my secret sauce, because that's the way I'm always thinking. I am the very specific, detailed reviewer person who brought the box of proposals with me with a cover. I haven't changed any of that. So I went off on a tangent, but those years are part of all of that, and inform every single thing I do.
It's pretty amazing stuff because, if you look at Juliet's LinkedIn profile, you see on some of the posts, right? She's already sharing some of these little details that people who come from that reviewer background are looking for, right? And that could be, just, are you making it easy for the reviewer to find the information they need, right? Are you spending time and investing in this application, or did you just throw it into AI and have Claude or ChatGPT write something for you? Right? There's telltale signs, right? And then there's a part two where there are people that are earnestly working on this. They're trying to get it right, but sometimes you just need to have a better understanding of what people are looking for. And I know you had reposted, a current, contracting officer for the United States government talking about some of the things recently that he had said, like, hey, if you're just starting off with innovative, right? Like, I'm already like turned off. And Juliet, how much is it that the reviewer's job is actually just to say, like, I need some reason to put this into the not moving forward pile? right? They're looking for the right winning proposal, but also as part of that, they're having to figure out ways to just have some of the people not make it to the next step.
Yeah, so I'm a Pollyanna optimist. I'm
Okay.
also a subscriber to Simon Sinek's A Bit of Optimism, which I love to listen to.
Yeah.
And I'll say this, as for my experience as a reviewer, I want each proposal that I review to be good and to be valid and to be awardable. That's what I want. So I start the review with expecting to say you're compliant, you're awardable. You got to convince me you're not.
Yeah.
And so often they convince me that they're not so quickly.
Oh.
Now I take that same thing to narrative that my clients give me.
Yeah.
I had a text exchange with a friend of mine, a brilliant young woman. And through the text, I came up with a GovCon superhero, which is what did I call it? The human discernment enforcer. Illustrator. So I've trademarking this right here, right now. Yeah. This is mine. Anybody steal? But I would love to see a graphic novel starting with reading the proposal I was reading the last week that I could tell was AI generated, going, my God, I'm trying to help you and I can't even get through this. How would a reviewer? So when my clients send me stuff, my approach is I expect to see brilliance that's going to need very little assistance from me. Of course, if that were true, I wouldn't have a business if everybody did that. But I do look at it from that point of view. Convince me to not pick you.
Yeah.
When I'm a reviewer. So my point of view when I work on a response is we need to convince me, me, the writer, and your sort of writer reviewer, human discernment enforcer, that you really know what you're doing. If I can't tell that you know what you're doing from what you've given me, then you're going to have to talk to me. We're going to have to talk about this. You're going to have to give me your not just your features, but your proof points. And I want quotes. I want metrics. So you were talking before we started about companies getting awards. Well, there's a piece to execution that is recording your performance, whether it's deliverables that you are required to provide, like metrics and all that kind of stuff. Let's say on a call center, everybody kind of knows that. Or staffing. But what do you need to record internally as a program manager so that you can hand that off for the recompete or for other opportunities? I can't tell you how many times I asked for that stuff and they have to go back in. Well, they don't work for us anymore. Maybe we can go look in the content library, which no one can find anything in, and find it. So, it's very interesting. And I'll tell you what, man, the bells and whistles go off when we've got somebody who has it. Oh, we've got that. Oh, I've got a quote. I can send you a whole bunch of them. Don't overload me. Just send me the ones that really apply. Let's get those metrics. It's amazing. It's amazing. It makes our life so easy. And we feel so good about the work that we're doing when that happens. Otherwise, it's a taffy pulling process or tooth pulling, whatever you prefer.
Well, taffy pulling is a little bit less painful than the tooth pulling.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's probably more like pulling teeth.
Yeah. It's interesting because, what you're saying is something that we talk with folks a lot about, which is knowledge as a competitive advantage, right? And the knowledge we're talking about is really the capability to go and find information. But you make the point, which is really interesting, about making sure to record it in the first place. When you talk to clients about how, best practices really for maintaining, all this important information, what do you tell them that helps them to figure out how to, build, organize, and operationalize that knowledge and that information? You mentioned something about like going and pulling it from, one place to the other, but certainly past employees and trying to call them up and see if they'll tell you something is not the best practice. Yeah. What are the best practices for maintaining, company knowledge and maintaining a knowledge base that you can use to draw on? for winning?
Okay, so I know that you all have a tool that helps to manage that. And I think I'm going to roll back a little bit because I've been doing this a long time. We start off with file folders, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right.
Right.
We start off, we move into things like Excel and Access as databases, right? I used to create fundraising databases. I created a database to track all of our grants through the college I worked for, all sorts of stuff. So we could go back and look. Then we roll forward into these content libraries and AI. So this may be too simplistic, but that's where my mind goes, to simplicity. I think about all of that rich information, regardless of how well or badly it's organized, as an untapped database.
Okay.
That we can use an AI tool to access the information we need. But like any other database, if you've ever built one, my first one was in File Express, and we don't need to talk about what it was. But I was working for a nonprofit, and I impressed my little capital campaign committee because they said, well, how many donations do we have? How many pledges do we have? How many pledges are paid and how much is still due? And I said, give me a minute. And I went over to my little compact portable computer the bank president had given me to use because he was finished with it. And I said, well, we got this, this, this. And how'd you do that? And I said, technology. I was in my 20s. Anyway, so I think about that. You can have the most amazing tool in the world, but if you're pointing it at crap, you're going to get crap.
That's true.
Plain and simple. So one of the things, I'm not selling our services right here, but of course I always am, but subliminally. But one of the things we do is help small businesses get themselves organized. You need the tools. You need the tools to be more efficient and more effective and more consistent in your messaging and to collect the information that you need to produce competitive proposals. Okay. So one of those is a template, a Word template that has all the styles that you need to do, to use, and then you also need to know how to use it. The other piece, and most people don't, so therefore we get to do that work. The other is to have this standardized content that you use on a regular basis to introduce your company, to call out your advantages, your win themes, whatever. And it's really easy if you're sort of a single line of business. If you're like an 8A ANC, it's a nightmare. So many subsidiaries, and lines of business. But we actually did that at 8A ANC. We had a literal Word document that was in the styles of the proposal that we vetted it every year. I got balloons. Made balloons go up. That's
great.
What else can we do? Anyway, so what our proposal manager would have to turn these things really quickly because we got direct awards, 8A and C, direct awards like crazy. Wednesday, it's a couple $1 million. The response is due the next Tuesday or next Wednesday. So we had a template. She'd go grab the stuff, drop it in, do a find and replace, pull out the retention figures that we needed, pull out whatever figures we needed, fix it all up real nicely, hand off the text section to the SMEs, come back, hand it all to me. I edit, I dress it up, I ask the questions, boom, 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 boom. We submit. That's a very analog process to a certain degree, but it's really not, because we're using a document that we're taking in and we're using find and replace. We're using human discernment, being the human discernment enforcer that I am. But, to use AI to do that, you've got to be able to point that tool at vetted, strong, compelling, responsive, compliant narrative. Going to Claude, creating a project in Claude, dropping in the RFP, asking it to create an outline for you, asking it to create and maybe drop some client reference documents in it or project reference documents in it, and asking it to write it. That's what I was editing that prompted my human discernment enforcer idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This
doesn't work.
No, it doesn't. So it's just like when you create a database, you've got to think of, we used to call it use cases, but you have to think of all of the use cases. We would say applications or fields you create to pull that information from. So if you're going to write a letter that says, Dear Juliet, you have to have a field that is the first name.
Right.
You can't do Juliet. So, it's that kind of thinking. And I'm not seeing that happening yet in my small little universe. I'm not seeing it happen yet. Emphasizing the yet.
Yeah. Well, things are changing quickly. That being said, you've had an 80%, plus or minus win rate with clients, right? And so I think the value of your insight is in being able to, know what actually does work, right? And regardless of changes in technology, there's a lot of technology may be changing left and right, but winning, proposals has a lot of what I would imagine are similar characteristics that are agnostic of technology altogether.
The basic tenets of good persuasive communication.
Yeah.
What we do is, I don't really like to be called a technical writer because I am not technical. Ask anybody. I am a persuasive technical writer because that's what a proposal. I take that technical knowledge and mold it into persuasive communication. That's what a good proposal writer does. A good proposal writer is a persuasive communicator. Period. Yeah. Understanding. Yeah. I love Robert Cialdini's elements of persuasion, because we talk about those. I can't bring all of them up right now, but some of them are like whatever the social one is, like other people, your neighbors bought this vacuum cleaner kind of thing. So, or that aluminum siding, right? So the social thing in a proposal is a quote. It's a quote with the name of the person, their position, and the agency and the program, past performance.
Yeah.
That show metrics that you delivered on that. I don't know what you call it. It's sort of, it's like it's the persuasive element in proposal writing. So, there's so many others. There's so many others that we use. That's a big one that we use all the time. Having an ISO certification, having a JCO certification, having all the other ones, the NIST and the CMMC, that's authority. That's the authority persuasive stamp.
Yeah.
When you go to a physician, you want to make sure they're board certified. Boom, stamp, authority. That endorsement, that authoritative endorsement. So, unless you're folding that into your narratives that you're putting your tool at or you're going searching for, you have to add it in when you build the proposal.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the persuasiveness, the storytelling, right, is kind of taking all of that information, all the details of what you're doing, what your capabilities are, why you're an authority in the space, why you should be selected, and it's to your point, it's just good communication, right? And that's one of the things that we continue asking folks that come to ground control is in this changing time of generative AI, right? One of the things that we see as one of the greatest limitations of AI is that it tends to tell things pretty much the same way. It's always a little bit different, but always very much the same voice.
Yeah, you're talking about vanilla vacuous. Oh, I have a whole list here. What did I say?
Yeah, vanilla vacuous. Yeah, bring that up. Great one.
Non-specific, no value, no benefit, no clarity, no customer understanding.
And why does AI not have that? I mean, I think we all can get it. Not going to win it. No. The
Nope.
biggest parts that is missing
it's not going to.
are what? So I think it's the what is it that actually is missing, that's making it to where AI can't do this from your perspective. And I think that's where this the vanilla vacuous. It kind of seems to us as though it's the fact that AI is just assembly machine. It's an assembly machine of things that have already been said someplace else and put together, but it does it in a way that just runs the exact same approach, regardless of who the company is that's writing a bid. So while there are places where each one of those is going to be unique and different because it generates a new, different thing each time, the style between two people that are putting in the same RFP into Claude is probably going to come out, to your point, vanilla and vacuous.
Yep. So here's the thing. As a freelancer, and I wrote down some of the challenges because I'm a freelancer.
Yeah.
Right. I am agnostic, procurement vehicle agnostic. In the RSA industry, I'm agnostic because the tools and the processes and the things that we deliver and contribute, and contributing and delivering are two different things, are universal. But there's some challenges that we are facing. One big one is the CUI enclave.
Okay.
Where everything is contained. So let's say I want to work with a client. A client wants to work with me. Let's put it the other way around. I don't want to work with everyone. The client wants to work, but they're in this is a CUI thing where it is in their enclave. How do I get into that enclave? How do I get access? They can't even email it to me. I have to be in it. Do I get a laptop from them that sits here that I connect to my monitor so I can actually see what I'm doing? How's that going to work? That's a huge problem that has yet to be solved, although a really wonderful person I've worked with, Jamie Miller with Mission Multiplier, hasn't come back to me yet. But he said that there is an affordable way. I'm like, all right, I want to hear this. I'm going to have to poke him again about that. But the other issue is that so many environments are these I'm going to call them enterprise environments. We struggle with, like we're given a link to SharePoint in an enterprise, not CUI, but just in a Teams, Microsoft enterprise environment.
Yeah.
And it screws up constantly. They don't want us to download onto our computer, but yet I can't. It's not saving. I'm losing. Oh my God. It only happens on Sunday afternoons after I've worked for about 6 hours. Does it go away? And I have to call my daughter and go, my God, I lost it. Just hold on. Don't close yet. Hold on. Maybe you can, like, so good God. So we can't, the thing, we as freelancers are dependent on our clients to have strong content libraries and an effective AI tool that they're going to create these proposal responses with and spit back. And I'm going, this is vanilla and vacuous and doesn't have any meaning. Where's the value? So that's a big challenge, I think, for us. And I know I've looked at a lot of AI solutions. None of them really work for a freelancer because there's a proprietary aspect. I mean, I basically have a Dropbox content library that probably has 50 to 100 client stuff in it that I firewall through my own ethical practices, right?
Yeah.
So, and all of us do that out here. Do not be fooled. But it's up to our own ethical practices and our own standards to not go in and say, oh my God, we just wrote that for those people, but we can't use that. But what I can use is what I learned from it. I can use what I learned from it. So I'm kind of going around. These are some of the challenges, though, that really make it hard sometimes. It's not really secure to email documents back and forth. And it's not really secure. It might be a little more secure for us to provide a Dropbox link. But Dropbox can be funky too, if they're only one person can be editing in it. More people could be looking, but only one person can edit. My daughter and I, boy, have we had trouble with that. Conflicted. I thought you were out. I am now. Oh, now we have a conflicted. So I tell her, go figure that out and tell me which version I'm supposed to be looking at. So these complexities of just getting the work done, I would love to see a way that would make it easier. And this doesn't just apply to freelancers, it applies to subcontractors and teaming partners on contracts, firewalling stuff, really working in a collaborative environment. It's just hard.
It is.
It's just hard.
It's hard, and it's been hard for quite a while, but we're finding that there's more and more, diverse tools that people are using as well. And so, I mean, it's maybe different in the CUI, instances in which there's more and more specific controls about information. But otherwise, we find that you'll have people that are bringing in 7 or 8 different places where they're drawing information from. And that could be because, it's a subject matter experts in SME, right? It's a tool that they use. It could be that it's your business development person. They're using a different tool entirely, even though the opportunities for them, right? But as a whole, right, I guess you're seeing the same things that we're seeing, which is that there are significant challenges that relate to organizing the information and making it available to the people who are the critical members of that proposal response team. And in your case with the freelancers, I guess it's even harder because you sit outside of those corporate walls. And so you're having to rely on yet again, other solutions. When you get to that type of situation, right? And particularly thinking about like the subject matter experts, it's always been my experience that the SMEs have their own jobs, right? They have their day jobs. And we always hear a similar refrain from customers and people that we talk to about this stuff, which is that, gosh, getting it to where the SMEs are involved in the right way and making information available, and also approving content before it goes in or participating in the writing process is a huge challenge. But everybody also has their own experiences with it. I'm wondering for you, like, is it a truism for you as well that SMEs are a challenging area to work with? And then what do you find, if it is the case that is challenging, helps the most to bring them into the process and to really drive towards a very effective proposal that wins?
So this is going to sound really, well, you can take it for what it's worth. I don't have as big a problem with that as a lot of people do.
Okay.
And one of the reasons is that I make sure that the SMEs understand that I am their tool. I'm not here to make them do something that they don't want to do. I'm here to make something that they have to do easier. Because that's what I am.
Yeah.
I'm a human tool.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I work, case in point, resumes, key personnel. When I have to get on the phone, or I've got 3 to send out at some point this week to the candidates to get their juice back, right? I'm going to write an email that's going to say, I've gone as far as I can. This is exactly what I need from you. So we can show your brilliance, your accomplishments, how well suited you are for this position so you can get the job, hint, hint. And I've put comments in here to nudge you. If I do an interview with them, it's all about them. I'll never forget an interview that I did. I can't remember his name. It was for the Future Attack Reconnaissance aircraft for the Army, little tiny helicopter that could carry little small special ops people. It died. And this is pre-drone, okay? Yeah. So they were talking fly-by-wire and all this kind of stuff. Anyway, I interviewed this guy who was on the team. It was an amazing design team. And like the guy who ran the company, he was on the Huey helicopter design team. Okay. So this is who we're talking about. So this guy, we go through his resume and I'm trying to squeeze all the juice I can out of him. And we're having a conversation. I found out he likes to ride bikes. I like to ride bikes, blah, 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 blah. I just changed the diet to plant-based. You know, we're having a great time. And we're going through his resume. I always start at the first job. So we warm up to the more complex. His first job, I'm like, so what is this? You're straight out of MIT. What is this? Can you just explain it to me? And he goes, yeah, I was basically calculating the descent for the lunar lander on the moon. I'm like, dude, does anybody around here know that? That's like the coolest thing. He goes, no. And I said, buddy. And so it's building that kind of relationship.
Yeah.
That you get all of that wonderful stuff. So like I remember being on a call with some IT folks. So this is about 3 years ago in June. Oh my God, we were on the phone for 16 hours with very, very heavy accented subject matter experts, IT subject matter experts speaking very quickly. And every other word was leverage and utilize. So catch the big eye roll. So he started stuttering on leverage and he'd say use and utilize. He'd fix that too. So he would rattle off all this stuff. And I'd say, well, that's all fine and dandy, but why does your customer care about this? So what I tell my SMEs who are struggling is I say to them, okay, if you know enough to do this work and to solve this customer's problem, you know enough to sit on the other side of the table and be a reviewer. Now let's write what you would need to pick you. Oh, well, we can delete all that stuff because yeah, right. So let's talk about why they should pick you. Put that right up front. What does this deliver? Okay. Now, what features do we need to leave in here? And you guys got some proof points for this stuff?
Yeah.
It's a conversation.
That's great.
I'd really love doing that too. It's really fun. It's a lot of fun. And then if I can have the document up on screen, extremely analog, document up on the screen, I go, okay, pause, hold on a minute. Let me write that. Oh, let me flip that. And I go, okay, now we're going to move this up here. How's that? Oh, that's great. Let's add this in. Okay. It becomes a collaborative process. You don't always have time to do that.
No.
It's a luxury. But when I work with a lot of small businesses, emerging businesses who don't have an in-house proposal team, or they have a couple people who are kind of wet behind the ears a little bit, trying to learn. So we come in and we help them with all this stuff and we show them how to do it. And we help them win because it's a collaborative process. If you're a proposal writer and you're not a collaborator, if you're a proposal professional and you're not a collaborator first, you're not going to be successful. And you have to be a gracious collaborator with firm, fixed ideas, honestly, and functionality and processes to get from start to finish. And I just did a post about this. I've done this a couple times of starting slow and starting smart. I spent Sunday doing an outline for a proposal so that I could hand it off to my client. We got on the phone Monday. We went through it. She goes, okay, put these notes in here for me and then hand it back to me. Okay. So now she wrote outside of the document. I guess the document was frustrating her. This is going to be fun. So I got to figure out hopefully it's in order. But, we'll come back together again. I'm not going to sit there. We're not going to submit without rolling through it and making sure that we're conveying the message that they know the customer needs to see. From that whole exercise, she came up with a brand new framework of how they deliver their solutions.
Wow.
I'm like, okay, well, after this proposal, after we finish this and submit it, hopefully Friday, not Monday when it's due, let's do a thing. Let's do a design document where we can pull these elements out, these graphics out, and this stuff out so we don't have to do this again.
right?
So, there's, I don't know if what everybody else does, but this is how I do it,
Mm-hmm.
and it works.
Yeah.
And it's working. It's working. It's working really well. I think I'm not saying anything that other proposal folks don't know or don't do. Maybe it's the way we approach it. We, WIE, writing is easy. We came up with that on some Army dudes who kept putting us in their SharePoint as we, WIE. Started calling ourselves we, and it was just me and a few other 1099s, that I need, that I pull. But what I want subject matter experts to feel is I want them to feel like they're experts and feel
Yeah. Yeah.
and to feel like they are contributing something meaningful and appreciated.
It's an important component. I love that you thought about how to bring them in. I love that you told us about how, in this project, you get to the end and you go, there's things that we learned from this that we need to take a moment and get them put into position for us to make use of them again. Because sometimes you do have the luxury of time, rarely, on these proposals, and, all lots of different reasons. A lot of folks end up having very short time frames to answer opportunities, or they feel like they do.
Or they wait too long. Just saying,
Yeah. Well,
they don't know about opportunity and they wait too long.
I was trying not to get to the point of placing blame, but the reality is that they sit there and then they get to the point where you start doing it. Yeah. It's that part that maybe those are two of the biggest challenges that people create for themselves or for their businesses, is by not starting early enough and start slow, like you were saying, right? And really put a plan together, but also not taking the time in between projects to actually work on the information and content that you're going to need for the next time around. Like learning lessons from the last response and putting information together that you can use the next time around. You already talked about the advantages that can come from thinking about how can we reuse this and where can we place it. Love to hear your thoughts about how people should think about the learning lessons of why a particular proposal did well or did poorly, and how they can know that a particular paragraph or a section of a proposal caused them to win or lose, or in the actual question and answer part of an RFP, knowing that certain answers to questions that they have are either moving them forward or they're knocking them out, right? Most people just say, we got it done. The pain's over. It's submitted. Wait for the response. It comes in, they win. They're like, great. If they lose, they go and they cry, right? But few folks are actually thinking about how do we measure what it is that makes us win versus what it is that makes us lose, and how do we make it to where we're able to put our best foot forward the next go round by learning lessons. I've imagined that you've thought about this over the time you spent on it. So share with us some of your ideas on best practices for people to implement that, whether it's following you just won the award, right? Or we've decided to go a different direction, that people can figure out how to better curate information or promote winning responses, or whatever it is that you think the best practices are.
Right. This is for all the proposal professionals out there in the universe listening. If you would just listen to us when we ask the questions of, do you have the past performance? Do you have the key personnel? Do you actually have the solution architected? Or are we going to be doing that while we're writing? Do you actually know the customer? Can you talk to us about what the challenges are? Do you actually have competitive intelligence? Do you have any of that stuff? Okay, so you may not have competitive intelligence, but you've been in this industry a while and you know what the struggles are for, let's say, medical staffing. recruiting, retention. The issues in personal security with retaining people through the background screening and the lie detector test and all the other stuff that they have to do. You know what those are. Everybody's got that. All right, how do you make it better? How do you retain people? Let's talk about that. That's a secret sauce. So I would say that if you're a capture person, a BD person, or you're in organizational management, hopefully you're a leader and not a manager. And if you're a leader, you're going to think about this. Are we giving our proposal team what they need to help us win? And when they do win, are we giving them the credit? Now, I'm going to point to this little thing that came with some champagne and snacks. And I have some champagne down in my tiny wine cellar from another win from that company, who also, just as a freelancer, for all the freelancers out there, pays within hours.
That's great.
So, there are lots of things here that truly instincts of people who have been doing this a while and have the experience and are looking across all these different opportunities and all these different responses that they've done. They know where the weakness is. I remember writing a solution that one of our vice presidents had just kind of made up. And I'm like, dude, where's the evidence that this even works, that they even want this? I'm like, so I put it in an email because I wanted it on record that I'm like, dude.
What do you think?
No. Now, then again, I've talked clients out of efforts.
Really? Okay.
Yes. One way is with an expedited rate.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to cost you a lot more. And it's my discretion to charge or not.
Yeah.
If you come to me at the last minute and we got to turn this fast, I got to turn my world upside down. I don't get to go to yoga. I don't get to go for my walk. I got to sit here and do this for you because you were late to the game.
Yeah.
All right. The other is that I literally look at the opportunity. And this has happened about 3 or 4 times in the last year on cooperative agreements, which are a whole nother ball game, where you really can't have a net profit. You're not supposed to have a net profit. So why are you doing it? And also, do you understand fund accounting? Do you understand how this works? You don't. Do you have a person who does? No. Okay. You don't need to be doing this. Let's put together a capability statement that you can hand off to people who are priming it so you can sub it and get that past performance and get in there and show yourself to this customer and to this prime and get that exposure and that experience. Let's do that instead. And I'm not a BD person. That is not what I am. I'm trying to serve my customers. Clients. They have customers. I have clients. I'm serving my clients in the best way I can because I don't want a loss either.
Right.
Yeah. I don't want to lose either.
You want to win.
Yeah, we want to win. We want to get champagne. We want ribbons.
Thanks for
that was wrapped around the box. It was
That's
just
great.
So cute. Anyway, so the point I'm making is that what are the best practices? Listen to your proposal people.
Yeah.
When they start asking all these questions, you need to think twice. Don't dismiss it. Don't poo-poo it. Don't just throw past performance contracts in there you think are a good fit. This is what I asked for. I asked for the SOW or the PWS for that past performance because I'm going to do a keyword search in it, right? Using my little Word doc or Adobe. I'm going to do a keyword search and find where those words are. And if the words aren't in there that align with this effort, do they really align?
I've got one follow-up for you on that one, which is for the systems that are out there that are telling people that they're able to, you just load the opportunity into the system and our system will tell you whether you are likely to win it. BS or the real deal? What's the Juliet evaluation of it?
To laugh because I just had something come through in the last week where the client gave me this competitive intelligence AI generated report thing. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'd actually already asked Claude a little bit about this company and their sort of position in the market and in this work and stuff. If you get a report that puts you as a minor player in the marketplace, listen to the voice.
Okay.
And don't go spend $75,000 or $100,000 on an external proposal team to pull something together for you that you don't have a chance at. Those competitive intelligence reports are fantastic if you pay attention to them.
Yeah.
It's like going to the doctor. If your A1C is in the diabetic range and you're not listening, you're going to have trouble.
Isn't that the truth?
I mean, I don't know what to say. You know, when the check engine light goes on, don't we usually go to our car guy?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why is my check engine? I'm on a diagnostic. When you're running that competitive intelligence, you're running a diagnostic on your position in the marketplace. And if it lists several big companies who are partnering with other people and they've only listed you because you're the one who requested it, you know, you get the cockeyed dog head. I don't know what to say. So I think there are people out there who know how to run that stuff and can also help you work through it. I think there probably are good tools, but if you're using the tool and you're not paying attention to what it's telling you,
what difference does it make?
Only, what's the point?
Yeah.
But that was really negative. That was a very, very negative answer. But I just had this experience, which is why I was laughing. I'm like, I just had this experience.
It happens more.
I want to hear the conversation amongst the BD leadership. I want to be in that call. That's sort of bid no bid or kickoff right after bid no bid, where let's go down this road a little ways and see how far we go. I'm in those conversations. What am I picking up? I'm picking up on win themes. I'm picking up on that competitive knowledge, getting that sort of hint of a SWOT, just a little bit of SWOT in there. What do I do with that? If we decide to bid, I use that as my win themes. That's in my call out box. Those are threads that I just run through the whole document. And then I ask for proof points. And I ask, if you're saying this is something that you do we have the past performance and can we include it on this? Does it meet the requirements? This connectivity, this is why you have to listen. And after a while, inside the corporate mess that I'm glad to not be in anymore, you keep silencing that voice and your silence that whatever it is, devil on the shoulder, an angel on the shoulder, and you know, the devil's advocate person who's saying, hold on a minute. Do we align with this? Do we actually have it? Or are we going to be smooging it? And there's only so much smooging a good writer can do. I mean, I can do a lot. But as a reviewer, I can see through that. Like, well, they're saying this, but I don't see anything to prove it.
It doesn't match up. Yeah.
It writes really well, but there's no meat behind it.
Yeah, you can be an incredible writer. It doesn't change the qualifications or capabilities. And, you know, it's a great point. You know, if you're going to invest, you know, again, $75,000 to $100,000 potentially in outside resources or even internal resources, when you start adding up the cost of everybody stepping away from the other things they're doing, right? You got to really make sure that you're spending the time on opportunities that are worth it.
And not to mention the morale issue.
Yeah.
So you're asking your proposal team to work nights and weekends on something they know
there's no chance. Yeah. That's a tough one to give up your nights and weekends for. All right, we've got a way that we finish off with the last question. It's kind of like a wild card, right? And so we give you the opportunity to share any piece of information. But before we get to it, I want to make sure folks know how to reach you Juliet, right? And to engage you for your expertise and your services. So if they're looking to find you, what's the best way for them to do so?
I think the easiest way is just go find my LinkedIn profile, Juliet Fletcher, Writing is Easy, and direct message me.
There you go.
That's easiest. Just about everybody's on LinkedIn, and I think if anybody's really interested, they can scroll through my posts and get a sense of who I am, how I approach it, and how you can utilize, to use that word, how you can optimize, make the highest and best use of a freelancer who you're asking to support you. And to be careful who you bring in to your world. Be very careful who you bring in.
A lot of folks out there, not all of them with solid experience, credentials, and a proven background or of capabilities like yourself. Okay, so wildcard question. Anything that you think that our listeners would be better off with knowing, or that you just want to share with folks that are listening in today?
I will say this is my mantra. If you're writing persuasively in any context, even it's just to try to talk a family member into doing something with you or for you or a friend, you have to remember that when you're communicating, if you're to communicate well, it is not about you, it's about them. And the second one is, I found this quote. I need to preface all of this by saying, I was wandering around TJ Maxx, and I don't know, a scarcity mentality. I don't know why I didn't buy it, but Ray Dunn makes these little bricks with little sayings on them in this very specific little black type on white. They make like sugar containers for your refrigerator, your kitchen, and all that kind of stuff. But it said, write without fear, edit without mercy. I went and found who actually came up with that, and he sort of just gave it out to the world. If anybody has that brick, I can't find one. I want it. I want to sit it right here instead of. But it's not mine. But I did sort of introduce it into this world of proposal writing, and it's really important to remember that, to write without fear. Just get it down. The best writing is a result of merciless editing. Even if it's your own stuff. Why do novelists always thank their publisher and their editors? That's why.
Exactly.
So there you go. That's all I got.
Team effort.
That's my message for the day.
Well, folks, Juliet, thank you so much for folks that came in to watch or listen to your podcast. I can't tell you enough. Juliet's really, the more I've gotten to look at the work that she's done, the posts that she has on LinkedIn, I can tell you there's just an enormous amount of value in following her on LinkedIn. And certainly, if you've got opportunities out there and you don't have the in-house expertise to get it done, or you just need to expand the team's capabilities, I would reach out to Juliet, right? And if she's too busy, I'm sure she knows some folks she can send you to as well. But we'll make sure that her top of funnel is filled up completely before she gets there.
I never say no. We figure out a way to do it. We just figure out a way to do it.
Perfect.
I can't. I might talk you out of the opportunity.
Without Clyde.
No.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you. Okay, thank you for all those kind words, Perry. This has been fun. I had no idea what to expect. This has been a lot of fun.
Well, we've enjoyed having you on. I've enjoyed the conversation, and I thank you so much for the time. I know you've got more work to do today on more proposals, so off to the races.
Yes, and thank you. And Rocket Docs, I did a little homework on Rocket Docs. First of all, I love the name because I came from Brevard County, Florida, where rockets go up. I've watched them since I was a little girl. And I love your idea of this ground control podcast concept. And all I can hear is ground control to Major Tom. I just can't stop my head. But I really like this, and I was looking at your transcripts, and I think if you're just starting here, go back and look at the other podcasts and absorb a lot of this rich information that is you pull out of us, and we hopefully are generously sharing. So this is really a good thing.
We appreciate you saying that. Yeah, that's the whole idea is getting more voices, sharing more information, making a richer community for folks to be able to tap into. So anyway, thank you, Juliet. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.